Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain have withdrawn their ambassadors from Qatar. The three countries accuse Qatar of failing to implement a regional security pact. Under that deal, Gulf countries agreed not to interfere with each other's internal affairs. In its response, Qatar's government has expressed disappointment and surprise. The statement says that the moves taken by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, UAE and Bahrain have nothing to do with their national interests nor their security. The statement goes on to explain that the state of Qatar will always remain committed to brotherly principles concerning their brothers in the Council. Well, this is one of the most serious developments within the Gulf Cooperation Council, otherwise known as the GCC. Now, the bloc is made up of Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, the UAE and Oman. 47 million people live in these countries, and the GCC is meant to encourage cooperation on the economy, security, defense and the environment. But those ties are now being tested. Well, joining me now is the former Qatari ambassador to the UN and the US, that's Nasser bin Hamad Al Khalifa. So thank you very much for joining us today. Now, what do you think has prompted this action, this withdrawal of the ambassadors?
It is an unfortunate move by the three countries. I think it has no basis, and there is nothing between Qatar which affects their relation with any one of these three countries. Qatar is committed to these three countries as much as they are committed to Qatar in terms of security, in terms of common interest. We are one people, our interests go together, but it is unfortunate that some of them are trying to force Qatar to take certain policies which has nothing to do with the Gulf, nothing to do with Saudi Arabia or the United Arab Emirates or Bahrain. It has to do with the outside world, and we challenge them.
This is the main thing, isn't it? I mean, usually the GCC speaks in one voice, they go in one direction, but Qatar is independent. They say that we have a right to stand on our own, form our own opinions. Is this right?
Correct. There are certain issues where we work together because they have common interest to all the GCC. But the GCC itself, as an organization, does not forbid any state to take a different position concerning its relation with other countries. Unfortunately, some of them is trying to impose on us my way or the highway, and right. I think this is a big mistake.
We don't really want to dance around the situation here. We are talking about Egypt here, of course. Qatar has its own foreign policy when it comes to Egypt. The GCC has their own foreign policy. You're saying that Qatar has every right to follow its own policy?
Of course, Qatar has its own has its right. This is enshrined in the United Nations Charter. Every country has the right to follow its own foreign policy as long as it does not affect any other countries. The whole issue is really about Sisi. These countries, they are supporting a coup d'etat where thousands of Egyptians being killed in front of the whole world, and they want Qatar to support such policy. We in Qatar saying to everybody, we have nothing to do with Egypt. Egyptians are free to deal with their own issues, but we will never support any regime which kills its own people. This is unacceptable. We are in the 21st century. These are people like us. Egyptian people are our people. So if any dictator is coming to power through the blood of his own people, and somebody else, another country, wants me to support that dictator, that is taking us back to pre-2011. The Arab masses, when they revolted in Egypt, in Libya, in Tunis, and in Syria, they revolted against dictatorship. Unfortunately, these three countries, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Bahrain, they want to keep the Arab world in the whole. They want them to stay weak countries controlled by dictators. And if we say, listen, It is your business if you want to support dictators, but we are not going to support dictators. Having said that, that should not impact our relation. Our relation with Saudi Arabia, with United Arab Emirates, and with Bahrain is complementary. We are committed to the security of the Gulf, to the interest of the people of the Gulf, and we are opposed to any intervention from outside powers in the internal affairs of any one of these states.
Which is fair enough. So I do have to ask then, we have these 3 envoys who've been withdrawn, they've been recalled. What next? What do you think will be the ramifications now?
I am sure in the day after that wisdom will come, and these countries will realize that trying to impose the philosophy of my way and the highway will not work with Qatar. Because it is not only, they are not only asking about supporting a dictator, a usurper of power in Egypt. They are even asking in a certain way, even if they haven't said it, that, you know, why do you have a free press? Why do you have Al Jazeera? They want to close Al Jazeera. They are coming back to the same way Bush Jr. said to the world, you are with us or against us. And unfortunately, we are with them in their own interest, but we are not with them for the interest of Sisi or of any other Arab dictators.
Do you fear that Qatar may be frozen out of the GCC? What would happen if that happens?
These 3 countries represent 50% of the GCC. So they cannot freeze Qatar out of it. They are freezing themselves out of the GCC. They are freezing themselves out of the wishes of their own people who are opposed to their policy when it comes to Egypt.
Sir, thank you very much for joining us on the show. Very much appreciate your presence. That's Nasser bin Hamad Al Khalifa there, the former Qatari ambassador to the United Nations and the US.